I thought if I was going to do a video about fan culture, I had to bring back some of the plushies. I don't really have much of an online presence. I'm more of an observer of the internet. I have a Twitter and I obviously have this YouTube channel, but besides that, I just kind of sit back and watch how people behave online. And let me tell you, it is interesting. What's most fascinating to observe online is fan culture. Fans of pretty much anything have this whole other way of interacting online. And it's just fascinating. From what I've observed, I've noticed that most fans can fit into 5 different groups. First is the touch and go fan. This is the most casual kind of fan. They watch the movie, or they read the book, or they play the game, and they enjoy it. And then they just move on with their lives. They don't feel this intense need to experience the world more. They might go see or read the sequel, but they're happy with what they have, and they move on. The second one is the inspired fan. This is the fan that enjoyed their experience with whatever kind of media we're talking about and starts doing more research into it. This is the last point at which you can be considered a normal person. You get any more intense than this and everyone will start calling you a nerd. The third type is the factual fan. This fan will not stand for any incorrect adaptations. Everything must keep to the source material or it's not even worth your time. This is usually the fan that's unhappy the most often, and it's usually Hollywood's fault. Then we have the passionate fan. You can usually tell that this person is a big fan. They can quote the lines, they own the merchandise, and they wear or display it proudly. And usually this person is much more okay with adaptations, since that just means that they get to experience the world more. And last we have, who I like to call, the crazy obsessed fan. At this point, whatever this person is interested in has taken over their life. It's their reason for living. They get up in the morning so that they can fantasize about it, and they can draw fan art about it, and they can write fan fiction about it. I would like to mention that although I didn't give it the best name, if you are a crazy obsessed fan, then that's fine. I just couldn't think of a better name for it. Obviously you can be a different kind of fan for different things, but I always thought I knew what kind of fan I was. I always thought I was like the inspired fan with a little bit of the factual fan, and maybe just a hint of the passionate fan. But it turns out that with some things, I'm like the crazy obsessed fan. At the beginning of the year, I was watching a show on Netflix that I had never seen before, and this show was 9 seasons long, and I watched all of them in 8 days. Bear in mind, I have a full-time job. I was at a point where I was watching the show while eating breakfast. I went off to work, came home, watched the show before supper, watched the show with supper, and then watched the show until about 3 o'clock in the morning, and then went to bed and started the whole process over the next day. Now granted, I never made fan art about it, or I never wrote fan fiction about it, but I did think about it all day and researched it while I was at work. It kind of took over my life for about a month, because after I was done, I went back and rewatched it. It's amazing when people can get so obsessed with characters and worlds that don't actually exist, or aren't the full story, like with YouTube. YouTube fans are a whole other story. There should be like a book written about the psychology of how YouTube fans think. And I mean, I'm a YouTube fan too, not saying that I'm not, but looking at how people who watch YouTube see YouTube and YouTubers and how they interact with each other and with the YouTubers. I know I've said it a lot in this video, but it's just fascinating. It's a very special kind of fandom in my opinion, because the world you're looking at actually does exist. You just never see all of it. I think I have rambled on enough for today, but as soon as I start editing this, I will probably remember something that I was going to mention in this video and just totally forgot about. I will see you next week.